3, 2. Hello everybody, sorry you lost us. We don't know what's going on, of course. The machinations of outer space are something that is certainly beyond me and possibly beyond the realms of understanding of most mortal men. Now, the lions. We have been trying to find them in this drainage line here. Scott and I have walked in through here. We don't know where they are. Their tracks don't seem to cross out, so that's confusing. There is a deep and very unpleasant smell in this area, and that is from the dung of a lion. Now, if you have never smelt the dung of a lion, let me assure you that the worst doggy-doo that you have ever smelt has nothing on the vile aroma coming off a fresh lion piece of dung. Now, that would indicate to me that they were around here fairly soon. Well, they must have been. They were calling here earlier this morning. And I keep going silent because I'm hoping desperately that they're going to call again. And you can see that the sun has been covered up. There seems to be some kind of frontal weather system coming in. So what I'm going to do, other than stand here looking completely confused by where these lions could possibly have gone, is head up towards Vuyatela Dam and then down into the drainage line there and see if we can't pick up something there. I don't know. Right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Back in the car, it was very thick walking through here, and so Scott and I were sneaking around, and then we saw Nyala and we both went thinking we'd come across 6 lions when in fact it was a hapless Nyala just smiling, looking at us. Right, here we go. Please remember, we are now in theory live. In theory, because some satellites. So please feel free to talk to us at any stage. We do love to hear from you. I'm just going to drive down this little 2-track road here and see what we can see. Hashtag Safari Live if you're tweeting, or questions at wildearth.tv if you are on the what's that thing called, Andrew? Email. There we go. Can you smell that? The smell of lion dung here is profound. I'm just keeping my ear to the Game Drive radio as well. If they didn't go a little bit further north from where we think they went, heading back towards Buffels Hook. Probably that, thanks Scott. Scott's just making some suggestions on the radio for where we should look. Good ones. I'll just drive straight in here and see if we can't see anything. If they keep dropping little patties of dung on the way, it will certainly help us immeasurably, tracking by smell. And again, I just wish they'd call again.
Okay, just to confirm, his 2 vehicles are all flashing.
Right, I don't see or hear anything here. Blair on Twitter, you are absolutely correct in your supposition that it was the oldest Birmingham male that eventually mated with the Nkuhuma lioness. She went in turn to every single one of them. We saw her try desperately with 2 of them. They seemed completely bemused by this seductive and growling cat flinging her backside in their faces. And then eventually, the oldest one, Blair, you're absolutely right, acquiesced, and he mated with her. Twice, we saw, before, whoops, that was a very nasty stump, Andrew, that was going to put a big hole in our tyre. Before eventually we went to bed. So Blair, good guess. I don't know why initially she chose the others to try and mate with. Maybe over the last 48 hours she's had a go at all of them. And of course this bush is very thick in here now, so I mean they could be lying close by. I just don't know why they would have gone into the shade at this time of the day. It would make far more sense for them to be out in the clearing in the morning. That's normally what happens. And then they head into the deep shade when it gets a bit colder, at least warmer. The temperature is, I don't think it's going to go, either we're going to have a hot day today. That bank of cloud building in the east indicates that it's perhaps not going to be particularly warm. So my woolly hat might have to stay on. Yeah, very powerful smell of lion in this area. Andrew, bring some incense sticks next time, please. Comment from Anna Marie saying that I need some lion dung nose plugs. Yes, well, I suppose if I was sitting around them, I would need them, but the fact that I'm now desperately trying to find the purveyors of the dung is going to preclude my use of any nose plugs, Anna Marie, but thank you for that. Most confusing. Now I'm told that the weather is a pretty chilly 13 degrees Celsius or 55 degrees Fahrenheit. I'd say that's probably about accurate. We've had 3 or 4 fronts come through here in the last few weeks, one of which brought us lovely soaking rain, and the others have just brought us quite a lot of cloud and difficult tracking conditions. It was much more difficult to track when
Just to update you, I'm probably 5-6 minutes out from the sighting. Welcome back, guys, and whilst we still have had no luck with these mysterious lions tucked away somewhere in the guarri bushes in the Mulwati, we do have a very special surprise. Now, apparently I missed her by maybe a minute. I drove through a junction and then Aubrey came through just after me and found Karula. Now, I'm just standing by here. I can hear them moving off in the block. I'm just waiting for them to let me know when it's time to move into the sighting. I'm also trying to regain some feeling in my fingers. Ryan and I have done a bit of a Ferrari safari around, trying to work out exactly where these Birmingham boys have disappeared off to. Now, I'm sure that they are somewhere in the drainage line, but for now let's see if we can see what Karula's been up to. I don't know what it is about her and hanging out around the Birmingham boys. This is now the second time that this has happened, that she's stumbled around while we've been either with or searching for the Birmingham boys. We just hop onto the Game Drive channel and let Aubrey know that I am around here. Aubrey, I'm standing by on Yonder Road South. Just let me know when I can approach. I approached from a junction with Vulture's Nest. I've got your visual. but I'm further south of your position. Copy, thanks. It seems as though the guys are struggling in thick bush, but they have said that we can come in and have a look and see if we can see her. Let's head across. I'm excited. It's been a long time since I last saw Karula. Let's see. Oh, there she is. Got her. So Sharon, just while we find a nice view of Karula, you were wondering if the darting of Sindile, or Madiba, as he is now known, and possibly something else in the future, whether or not it was successful. And yes, it was. After the first dart misfired, they did get it. There you go. Our first morning view of Karula, and what a treat. 2 days in a row. She's on the move. Let's see if we can stay with her. Get ourselves into this block. It is very, very thick in here. She's stopped. Okay. In we go. Now she's got that hunting look about her. She's doing her usual Karula thing of ducking and diving. Look at that body posture. And this is what I mean about Karula changing direction all the time. She ducks and dives through the bush. Interesting, that tip of her tail turned up like that. I said I thought she looked like she was hunting, but that's not what she's doing. Typically leopards don't lift up their tails like that until they know that they've been spotted by any prey that they've been trying to hunt. So they don't hunt like that because that white is so obvious. Sorry, Brian. Just going to head into this drainage line. there's two vehicles up ahead of me. Here we go. Okay, Brian.
Yeah.
Now, if she does duck down into this drainage line, it's going to be very difficult for us to follow her. I'm going to do my best. There she goes. Peering down the side there. This car today. There we go. Okay, let's do this. Hold of Tax and see if she's going to go into the drainage line. Tax, does it look like she's going to go into that drainage line? Copy that, thank you. Just checking before I go racing off. Saw earlier, she changed direction completely from one moment to the next, so I don't want to push in without making sure where she's going first. I can't see her from my angle at the moment. Waiting to see. I think the guys. She has moved into the drainage line. Okay, we're gonna give this a go. We might struggle to stay with her. Apparently it looks as though she's moving north, so rather than trying to follow her into this drainage line, which I think is going to be next to impossible, we're going to try and get her on the other road. She's moving north. Into this drainage line. It's very, very thick in here. I don't think we're going to be able to follow her around that way, so we have to do a loop. Now, an interesting question from Rosanna as we try and relocate Karula in this drainage line. Now, Rosanna would like to know how far we would typically follow an animal or how far we would drive in a typical safari. And it very much depends on the day. Sometimes you've got a leopard sleeping in a tree and then you don't travel too far. And it also depends on your guests and what kind of drive they would like to experience. This drainage line is very, very thick. Can be anywhere up to, when I was working at the research facility, would probably be averaged about 35 kilometers, which is very, very far. That was unusually far. But it is usually a bit late. Trying to stay with Karula and follow her. And from the time that the sighting was called in, she's moved about 2 kilometers, and it could well be more. You can see why, if we just have a look down in here, why I decided that we wouldn't be able to drive through. It's very, very dense, very thick, and very difficult terrain. I'm going to stop here for a moment because I know Karula, or I'm starting to get to know Karula. And she has a tendency to pick one direction, and everybody follows her in that direction, and then she changes her mind and heads across in a different way. So I'm going to sit and listen to alarm calls. There's 2 vehicles standing by over there, and I just want to listen. See if we can see her appearing in the drainage line. You guys are just calling me on the Game Drive channel. There's 2 up ahead here looking for her, and they say they don't have visual. You can hear the other vehicle making its way in from the other side of the drainage line. I don't think we're going to have any luck in that direction. Standing by. I'm standing by on this side of the drainage line in case she decides to come back in this direction. Just chatting to Craig. He just wants to know if I can still see her. He's making a decision as to where he should approach from. Check very, very carefully. Keep our eyes peeled for spots in the drainage line. We do apologize for the black screen. A bit of signal issues this morning, but John has made the very interesting observation at a very good point that Karula, unlike young Sindile or Madiba, as he's now known, is an expert at ditching people who are trying to see her. Let's shift in here and see if we can see anything. She is incredibly sneaky. Ooh, that's very steep. Let's just stop here a moment and listen to the alarm calls. And she's picked a perfect drainage line to come into. It's one that we can't follow her down into. So I'm just listening to see if I can hear any alarm calls. I can hear the vehicles crunching away that side. This is where she disappeared in, or she disappeared in just off to my right. She is so sneaky. Very clever girl. It's right in the middle of a tamboti thicket. Now her body language was really, really interesting. Just the way that she was walking. Typically a hunting leopard will sneak with its tail down. Her body language with the tail curled up like that was almost excitable. And I have a possible explanation for that. I think she was on very high alert, because just driving through this area at the moment, ever since we started our search for the Birmingham boys, there's a very, very pungent aroma. I'm not sure if James commented on it, but I'm sure he did. There's an incredibly pungent aroma all around us of lion urine. And I think that the Birmingham boys have been around depleting their urine supplies and spraying on the various guarri bushes. And it is so potent to me even, and I've got a cold, so my sense of smell is pretty shaky as it is. You can imagine how that must affect something like a leopard with that incredibly sensitive sense of smell. She's aware that the lions are somewhere in this area, and I think that there's a possibility they may have been found. I'm just listening to the Game Drive channel, but more on that a bit later. There's still silence on this side. I'm just trying to work out, if I were Karula, where would I go? And the answer is, knowing Karula as I do, is to loop back the way I came. But she could even be lying down just here, just in that bottom part of the drainage line. Make sure we get out of here safely. Ducked into this drainage line. I'm just picking a way to go, and what I think I'm going to do is loop around and see if we can see her from there. Yes, we did manage to get that flash of spots. We do apologize for the signal issues that we have been. I know that, but we are working on possible. Still struggling around to see where Karula disappeared to. I'm doing a loop around to see if she pops out on this road or the road a little bit further to the east of me. Now Kathy, and I'm sure many of the other viewers who might have missed the sunset safari, you were wondering if it would be possible to have a bit of an update about young Madiba, or Sindile as he was previously known. Well, we have really, really good news. It seems as though yesterday James managed to find him on Triple M boundary. And for those of you who are new viewers who might have missed what was going on, this is a young leopard cub who's just over a year old. And on one of Brent's sunrise safaris, he was seen with a kill, which unfortunately turned out to be a stray dog from one of the neighboring townships in the area. And the immediate fear, of course, is that apart from it being incredibly sad to see, it was also a fear that there might have been the risk of a rabies infection. There has been a big rabies outbreak in Hoedspruit and around Hoedspruit, and where stray dogs are concerned, obviously their vaccination schemes aren't necessarily put in place. Young Sindile Madiba was that he could contract rabies from contact with the saliva. But yesterday, the Sandpark or the Sabi Sands officials managed to dart him, give him the vaccine he needs, and he will have one more vaccine in 21 days, so 3 weeks. Good news all around for young Madiba, but he is much easier to find apparently than Karula. Luckily though, it seems as though the lions have been found completely in the opposite direction to where we thought they were. So let's head across to James and I will try and relocate Karula and get back to you a little bit later.
Thank you. Good, thank you. Thank you very much. Hello everybody, great news, great news. We seem to have had some luck with the lions. We didn't, of course. The lions are just up ahead on the road. That is excellent, excellent news. Plugging myself into the final control. And let's go and have a look at what developed during the night while we were fast asleep. Catching up on our beauty sleep. Well, I mean, Andrew had a beauty sleep. I still look the same. Just up ahead. All 5 males and then the female somewhere around. So they must have popped out onto this road. Jamie drove this road and Jamie doesn't miss tracks. So I think she probably came along this road and they popped out just after she came past. Okay, we're really close now. Here we are. Can you see the lion, everyone? Andrew, can you see the lion?
Yeah, that's right.
Just look in the grass, everybody. Look out for what you'd have to be looking for if you were walking. Look at that magnificent male lion there. Can you see that? Isn't that wonderful? We will get closer. I just wanted you to have a look and see what I saw. Isn't that wonderful? Just great. Now it seems that there's a bit of a split up here. I think there's one here and the others are further up the road. So I think the 4 males are here and the male and the female are further up. Let me go and get a bit closer and let's identify which of these Birmingham fellows we're looking at here. He's going to drive very slowly. We don't want to give him a fright. Oh, sorry about that, Andrew. It was an exhausting night. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, and perhaps you've just joined us, you've just got out of bed or about to get into bed or whatever it is you happen to be doing wherever you are in the world, one of these males was found mating, the oldest one, with the female from the Nkuhuma lionesses. We think she's an Nkuhuma lioness. There we go, it was this guy. This is the oldest one. It was him that was mating with her. Now we think that he acquiesced to mating with her because he's a bit older and perhaps a little bit more clued up, but certainly not very. Now Lynn, in Michigan, you want to know if the others didn't mate with her, because she certainly tried with at least 2 of them while we were watching. You want to know if they didn't mate with her because there's a pecking order. Lynn, there isn't normally a pecking order within a coalition, but that said, this chap is older, he is bigger than the others, but I don't think they would have deferred. I think they would have mated with her if they'd known what to do. That would be the most common thing. Look at him, he's a magnificent fellow, isn't he? Oh, that's great. Wow. Isn't he beautiful? You can see his mane is still light. It's still very blonde. He doesn't have that blackness in it like that dominant, well, previously dominant Matimba male hairy belly had. He had a very black mane, indicating a high level of testosterone and dominance. Now this fellow, of course, is a little bit younger, and that's why he won't have a black mane yet. I'm sure it will go black at some stage.
Able.
He's absolutely exhausted after the attentions of that female last night, and I think she's a little bit further up the road.
Okay, great. Great. I think the Ngala already made another bumper. Maybe if you just go, if it's possible for you to go on the other side of the drainage line, and you will see there's a big termite man. Just check for us on the other side. I'm on this side with this.
So just to follow up from Lynn in Michigan, so we have seen this male mating with one of the Nkuhuma lionesses, and the question as to why he would be mating with them is very pertinent. And Lynn, I think as you correctly surmise, what's going on here, and I'm going to use the terms choice and decide to mate purely from a physiological point of view. I don't believe that there's any conscious choice going on here. I think that physiologically she decided to mate with him, and that will help integrate herself and the rest of her pride into this group. So will the rest of the pride be around fairly soon? Well, we hope so. Not with Junior though. So that young male, if he comes near these fellows, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So as we have known for many months, the life of Junior is not going to be easy from here on in. I'm just going to position around the other side of this bush, and we might get a look at his face before he decides to go completely to sleep. Oh, no, too late. Oh dear, sorry about that noise. Wendy is a very disobedient lady. Andrew, wash out your head there. There he is. Now you've just had a wonderful sighting with Jamie of Karula, the Queen of Djuma. I yet again managed to miss her. I've only seen her once. I feel this is a great gap in my bush education. And Carol in New York, you want to know if lions and leopards ever fight with each other. Karula is now, she's probably about 500 meters from where we are now, heading in an easterly direction. Jamie hasn't managed to find her again, I don't think. So, Carol, so that, I mean, the chances of them meeting, especially at the beginning of this morning, were quite high. Carol, they would not even think about fighting, and that's simply because the leopard is about a quarter the size of that male lion that we've watched, and he would make mincemeat of Karula in less than 3 seconds were he to get hold of her. So they do fight from a competition point of view, but a leopard will avoid a lion at all costs. There's absolutely no way that a leopard would try and challenge a big male like that unless she was absolutely desperate. Now this of course is what lions tend to do for 22 hours of the day, and the best time to watch them of course is in the early morning, and that's why we're so desperate to find them early morning. So we were talking about the mane of this male lion, and there are lots of different manes, and we'll go a little bit further up the road in a few minutes and just see if we can't get a view of the other 4. And Sharon in Pittsburgh, you want to know a little bit about the manes and how big do they get. Sharon, what I would do if I were you, and the answer is it's entirely variable. So you can get very scraggly little manes, you can get sort of Mohican type manes, and they vary in color also, from this kind of blondie color all the way down to jet black. And so it is very interesting as to where the manes go. But Sharon, the biggest mane that you ever got was on something called a Barbary lion, and I don't have a picture. So have a quick Google at Barbary lion, and that's a sort of unusually large kind of a mane that we don't find here. But one of the biggest manes that we do get is on one of those Matimba males called Hairy Belly, and as you correctly say, his mane is very full around his head. It does lie to the side, it gets so long, so it doesn't stand up like this chap's does, and then it does go all the way down the chest and under the arms, under the front legs. So quite interestingly, great variation in manes, and certainly those 2 Matimba males had very different manes. One had one a bit like that, but fuller than this fellow's, and the other one much darker, much blacker, much more prone to lying on its side, salon quality. And there's another lion in the area called the Styx male, and he's got hair that sort of falls in the side parting, which is quite amusing. And their manes don't stop growing, so the older they get, the longer their manes will get. Right, let's just sneak a little bit up the road and see if we can't get another look at one of the others. And look, the fly's bugging you there.
A little bit, yeah.
But you've got a new buck.
I wasn't sitting correctly. Now it is.
Phew, that's lucky. There's another lion. In fact, there's a whole lot of lions in there, and dozens of them. Now Blair on Twitter, you want to see the mating pair. I don't know that they are actually mating. That was the one that she was mating with last night. That's not to say she won't be mating with another one now. Here seem to be the rest of the males. There's certainly 3 more of them. I'll get an update from Taxon now as to what he's got just further up the road. So I'm just going to try and get into a position where you can see them all. This guy's eyes are not very healthy, and he's giving me the evil eye, so I'm just going to stop here, although it's not the best position in the world. Very full bellied, you can see. They've been eating on that buffalo for some time up in Buffalo's Hook. Now you can see there his nose, Andrew, if you can get in on his nose. It's quite pink still. Now that nose, by the time he's 6, should be completely black. And you can see it's still got quite a lot of pink in it. When he's 6, he will be at roughly full weight, 6 to 7. And so I'd say he's probably about 4.5 years old. So he's not quite at full mass yet, but he is a decent sized male. I'm just going to quickly get an update from Tax. He's just up the road there. What's quarter one Alia? Okay. Money? Okay, I've just got an update, everybody. Apparently this young male has mated with this female. So that's very interesting. It'd be well worth just sitting here, even if they do look like they're fast asleep. Obviously they've taken a leaf out of their older cousin's book and learned what to do. Because last night, when she was trying desperately to get one of them to mate with her, they didn't know what was going on. Here we go, this is interesting. Let's see if she gets up. She will initiate any kind of mating at this stage. And I suppose for some people this might look almost distasteful. I mean, it's very unlike, well, it seems very unhuman-like for lions to be acting in this manner, where she's basically farming herself out to all of these males, and she is solidifying a bond with them. She's using her seductive wiles as a lioness, and that is it's an interesting thing that seems to happen throughout many mammal species, and I think it's just fascinating to watch how over the last 48 hours they have eventually started to tolerate her, and they're no longer trying to chase her away, and she looks a lot more relaxed. Now, of course, 48 hours ago we didn't see them, but we saw a video of them. I think there's an elephant. There's an elephant just up in front of us. Do you hear it, Andrew?
Yeah.
It's an elephant breaking a tree there. Just to give you an update on the state of who's been killed and who hasn't, I'm just going to quickly finish what I was saying. So 48 hours ago they were found on a buffalo kill in Buffelshoek, and this female was trying desperately to have her, or to ingratiate herself to the males, and they just chased her. We saw video footage of it. It is fascinating to watch how they chased her. Now 48 hours later she's mated with at least 2 of this coalition. And like I say, probably a false estrus. Now, Chris on Twitter, you've heard that there have been lion deaths. Yes, there have. She's, we think, is part of the Nkuhuma pride. And these males have killed 3 of her pride. 1 in February, 1 in July, and 1 about 3 weeks ago. So 3 of her pride have been killed by the very males who she's now trying to placate by mating with them. Mating with all of them to try and make sure that that bond is solidified and the continual murder of her kin doesn't continue. We don't really have a reason for what the evolutionary reason for why they would kill lionesses is, but we're coming up with various theories, and certainly the Twitterati and the Twitter sphere that you all constitute have come up with some very interesting and very plausible theories for why this might be the case. So to reiterate, Chris, she's lost 3 members of her pride to the very males she's now mating with. Fascinating question here. Now, I'm going to give you some quick background into lion dynamics and how it generally works with lions. What happens is that a male will come into an area, they'll mate with the females, they'll have cubs, and 2 years later, more males will come in and probably toss out the males. That's the general, very basic idea of what happens. Now, Doug in Connecticut, you want to know what happened. Are these males uncommonly young? Doug, they would be if they were taking over this territory as a coalition of 2 or 1, but because they are in a group of 5, it's not uncommon for them to start being territorial now. So normally, if a lion was to take a territory on his own, he would have to have achieved full size. He'd have to be about 6 or 7 years old, maybe even 8. And after that, he'd maintain the territory maybe for 2 years if he was lucky. The general idea is to try and for 2 years, because by then he will have raised some cubs successfully. And if he gets tossed out after that, that's a pretty good thing, because by then he would probably have tried to mate with his daughters, and so any cubs that were killed by the new males that were coming in would just reduce that kind of inbreeding that takes place. Now, what I want to do is get a good look at this female with my powerful binoculars and see if it isn't the amber-eyed female. Here she goes. It's not the amber-eyed or orange-eyed female. Let's see what happens here. She's quite a young lioness, you know. Now he's learnt what to do. Here we go. He's not succeeding yet, everybody. Now he's marking territory. He did not succeed there. I will explain that to you now. Look, she's still going to be a little bit dissatisfied with his performance. Exhausted after that fairly poor effort. I'm going to score it, Liz. Oh, that's magnificent. It's just such a privilege. Andrew, I'll park you behind the stick. Is that right? Alright, so everybody, I'll tell you how I know that that was not a consummate mating experience, and I'm going to try and be as subtle about it as possible. But when they are, basically, when the males are thrusting away like that, it's a sign that they haven't penetrated. He's trying to find his mark, as it were. And here we go again. This is why she's come back to him. Can you still get them, Andrew? Sorry about this, everybody. I'm not going to move the car. I'm going to reverse quickly. Hold on, Andrew. Now he's chasing her. He's chasing her through the bush there. I think she's lost interest, you know. Look at them, they're running off through the bush there. He's seducing her away. He's now got It's like watching a teenage boy running after a lady. They're now stuck in the dreadful thicket. So they run off into the bush there. I don't know why they're running. It's all so difficult to understand right now. but there didn't seem to be any of the aggression that there was. Oh gosh, 2 days ago there was a huge amount of aggression between them, but there doesn't seem to be that now. Tatsutoma. Okay. Alright, we're going to try and get another look, everybody, but they are in some very thick bush. Okay. Just gone in here apparently. Now the other big vehicles will probably try not to go in here. So we'll try and get little Wendy in. There they are. There they are. You see them, Andrew?
Yes.
So I'll get on with my rather delicate topic as soon as we stop. He's trying again. He's trying his luck. No, he's not. Now she's moving away in front of him. Please excuse the moving around. I'm sorry about the noise. And we'll try and keep up with him, but this block does get very thick. That's your head, Andrew. There they are in front of us, everyone. There we go. He's laying down. He's become really exhausted by the whole affair. Probably slightly embarrassed. Andrew, I'm going to try and go around that side so that we can get a view of the female. So here she comes. There we go, straight. Right, let's see what happens here. Right, I know my head is in the way, everyone. I will move it out of the way so that Andrew can get you a picture of a more impressive male than I. Look at him there. This is just fascinating to watch. So just to reiterate, I was looking earlier. I tried to see the eyes of this female, and Georgiana in Illinois, you want to know if this is the amber-eyed female. It is not. It is a younger female than that. I don't know which one it is. I don't think we've given her a name yet. But it's not the amber-eyed or orange-eyed female. I'm just going to have to turn the game drive radio up, everybody. I'm sorry, because I'm going to have to guide everybody in if they want to come here. Stations as male and female are now static to the eastern side of Hyena Road. There's good visual here if anyone wants to come in. They're about 150 to 200 meters east of the road. You'll see the tracks going off. So, just to get on with my delicate topic there, when the male manages to penetrate, his movement changes entirely. You can see that the female's body language changes, obviously. And the clincher, of course, to know whether there has been some sort of consummation is that when he withdraws, because his penis is barbed, look at that absolutely stunning picture. Gosh, I wish I had a good camera. Beautiful, Andrew. Gee, this is wonderful. And you can see there that the eyes are not amber. So after a consummated mating, as soon as he withdraws, it's painful for her, and she will react normally in a fairly violent fashion. And the older male tried 3 times last night before he seemed to get it right. And then there was a violent reaction from her, so we knew that he had managed to succeed.
Stations look as male has gone north, probably crossing the drainage line towards east-west cut line. I have lost visual. I'm going to be making my way back around.
This is just spectacular. I'm so happy this is happening on Nkuhuma now. Now, where the rest of this pride are, we don't know. We think there are 3 on Simbambili, probably the male, and 2 young lionesses. Now, where the other 2 lionesses are, we're just not sure at the moment. They will be keeping a very low profile. Now, a very interesting question from Sandra in Cincinnati about whether there is some sort of pregnancy going on here. Now, Sandra, she could not be pregnant, I don't think, by either of the Birmingham males that she's been mating with. It's possible that she's pregnant by one of the Matimbas, but I think it's unlikely. But what is interesting is that what happens here when a coalition takeover takes place like this, Sandra, what occurs is that there is a false estrus. Now, what that means is that the female comes into a state of physiological mating, if you like, but she will not ovulate. And all she's doing, and again, this is not conscious, this is entirely a physiological choice that her body is making according to the stresses and strains that have been put on it by this coalition takeover. This false estrus is basically where she will exude the pheromones and secrete the pheromones that indicate mating. The hormones for mating will be secreted, but she will not ovulate, which means she won't conceive. Because energetically, there is no point in her conceiving if these males are not going to hang around. Now, we don't know if they're going to hang around. We think they will, but we don't know. And so the likelihood is that she will be in this kind of state of false estrus on and off until they have been solidly in the area for up to 6 months. Then she will ovulate and mate and fall pregnant. So she can't be pregnant by one of these Birmingham males. Well, I mean, it would be extremely, extremely unlikely. And the fact that she's moving from one to the other indicates that this is definitely a false estrus. When they are truly ovulating, they don't tend to move from one to the other. They'll stick with one until the estrus finishes. What a privilege to have these chaps all to ourselves. Eh, Andrew? Sorry, excuse the noise, everybody. I dropped my radio on the floor. That is just the most wonderful picture. And the fervent hope, as reiterated by Lynn, is that they won't get tired of her and then kill her. Lynn, my prediction, and again, making predictions out here is a dangerous business if you don't like the taste of egg on your face. My prediction here, Lynn, is that they will not try and kill her. I think she's managed to breach the social gap that there was, and I think that this is precisely what she's doing. She is securing her the future for her, and I'm just getting an update. There is an elephant around here. So she's just making sure that the bonds she has now formed with these males solidify any kind of possible recriminations for her and possibly the rest of the pride. It will be very interesting to see what happens as and when she meets the rest of the pride. Now she's just trying to get as close to him as possible. And this is just, I mean, we don't get to see this kind of stuff often. It really is fantastic. So, an interesting question from Lisa. This stick is now starting to bug me, Andrew. I'm just going to move slightly. The stick in the way of the pictures is irritating me somewhat. How's that? There we go. Is that any good to you?
Perfecto.
Okay, so Lisa, now son, I'm going to take my jacket off while I answer your question. You say, do I think that they will allow her now to share a kill, first of all, and second of all, help them hunt? Lisa, in the case of the former, I think they will be more tolerant of her at a kill. That would be provided there was space for her to get into it. So, were they?
Sorry, Andrew, what's your question? 1, 2.
Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to the water, to the radio. Okay, so Lisa, what would happen is that if the kill was big enough, they'd allow her to feed there. If there was any actual competition over food, she could forget it. They would bash her and she'd have to watch out, just the same as would happen at a pride kill. Now, would she then be allowed to hunt with them? That's not really how it happens, Lisa. How it happens is that the females hunt and the males then come and steal the kills from them. That's generally how it works. There's no greater scavenger in the bush than a male lion who doesn't have to hunt for himself. They are very competent hunters, as we know, but they do a lot of scavenging, mainly from females of the same species. They could not survive if she was the only one hunting for them. This picture of that lioness in this light is just too wonderful for words. They couldn't manage to survive if she was the only one doing the hunting. So Lisa, while she they're going to hunt for themselves, to catch buffalo and that sort of 5 of them is not going to be an easy thing. Look at her trying desperately just to derive some affection from him. And succeeding. She's put in the hours, you know, she really has worked very hard to get to the state where she can lie close to them and they don't try and kill her.
Moving back south, across the drainage line, Karula.
Marilyn in California, you say, is it not true that mating male lions show affection to each other? Marilyn, they don't always, you know. They will quite frequently not show any kind of affection until the actual mating takes place. So normally when they meet up, lions can be quite affectionate. But this kind of lying close like this when they're mating, when she gets up, he will then follow her and they will mate again. This kind of cuddling, if you like, is unusual during a... What are you laughing at? The spoon, exactly, spooning. This spooning is unusual.
Black screen of death.
We are at the point of catastrophic failure on this vehicle.
That doesn't make sense. Didn't touch anything. Didn't do anything.
Right, you are live.
We live now? Hello everybody, welcome back. Andrew is just trying to find you the elephant over there. Sorry you lost us, we don't know why. There is an elephant walking through the bush there. I'm not going to move the car. And as I was saying just before we went black screen, These lions do not like elephants, or elephants don't like lions. And so were the elephant bull to come across here, they would probably scarper with some speed. I can just hear one in there somewhere, chewing away at the combretum bushes. But I think we'll stay right here with these lions for now, because first of all, they're doing something, which is marvelous, and secondly, what a story is being told here, what a story is unfolding in front of our very eyes. And no doubt it has unfolded for thousands of years before we ever came into this area. But it's such a privilege to see it.
Easy, for a nice little swim at Ghana.
And of course, huge misconceptions created by that wonderful film, The Lion King, about lions and their activities and how they live. And here we're just seeing how it really is.
Take that.
Now, Angie in Portland, do you want to know how old this lioness is? And you say you've looked at her pinky nose and you say it's around 4 years old. Angie, I would agree with you. I would say around 4, maybe just younger than 4. Quickly, I'm sorry about.
We do apologise for the odd moments of black screen that we've been having this morning. Now, this is not quite the spotted creature that I was looking for, but it is a nice surprise nonetheless. We've got a nice big male giraffe munching on some guarri bushes. And I'm afraid to say that Karula has quite spectacularly given us the slip. We tried. I did walk all through the drainage line. I walked around the block. I frantically followed the alarm calls of grey go-away birds, only to encounter a pair of African hawk eagles. And I'm not sure where she's disappeared to. I'm now driving around. It's a shot in the dark. Going to head across to Buffelshoek Dam. But this pretty giraffe male is going to keep us entertained in the meantime. If you are joining us for the first time, this is a live safari, so everything you're seeing is happening right here on the Sabi Sands. And the reason that I know that this is a male giraffe, if he would just lift his head, there we go, poking up at the top of his horns, or ossicones as they're actually known. You can see that those bald patches, and that's what he uses for fighting off other males to compete for the attentions of the female. As far as I can tell, he's all on his own, which is not that uncommon, especially for the big male giraffe. But very, very pretty in this early morning light. And at the moment, his feeding height is fairly low. He's actually got his neck bent right forward to get to those guarri bushes. One of the few animals around here that I've seen nibbling on them. I don't think they have very much in the way of nutritional content or good taste, but the elephants and the giraffes seem to enjoy them. What I have started to see is small green leaves coming out of the knob thorns, and very soon those are going to become his staple diet. The giraffe and the elephants are at an advantage over the other animals. They can reach up and get the new pieces of growth that are coming through. Cool thing about the way that he's bending his head forward, that's an unnatural position for a giraffe. So you could imagine, or if you weren't too familiar with giraffe anatomy, you would sort of imagine that they must have really strong muscles running down the back of their neck to hold up that heavy head all the way as high as it reaches. But in reality, all of that work is done by a tendon that is slightly elastic but very, very strong, and that holds that head up in the natural upright position that we usually see giraffe in. So for this male, he actually has to work harder to bend his neck forward like that. He has to contract the thick muscles at the front of his neck. The birds are out in full force. There's a very happy little scrub robin calling off. I've heard grey-headed bushshrike. And I also saw a black-headed oriole fly past. There was a bird feeding party to the left of us, but I think it's moved off now into the guarri bushes. We'll wait and see if they pop out as well. He's completely ducked down. Hello. Lots of talk happening amongst the birds as well. Still none of those alarm calls I was hoping that might alert me to the presence of Karula. That block that she disappeared into is unbelievably thick. Our giraffe has disappeared behind the guarri bushes. Every now and again his head pops up, but obviously that particular guarri bush is worth the effort, bending down. But I do want to continue on my search for Karula. And he's heading off anyway into the block. Let's head across to Buffelshoek Dam. One thing I have noticed about Karula is that she really doesn't use the roads all that often. I haven't seen her walking along them in the time that I've been here and the times that I've seen her. She's usually cut into the block. Sometimes she even doubles back, although I've triple checked that she hasn't done that this time. So she's either moved north or east. So we're going northeast along the road to Buffelshoek Dam just to see if she might have popped out here. To an exciting time with Karula. She was seen when I first started working here in the middle of July. She was seen mating with a mystery male up in Buffelshoek, and that puts her now 2 months in. In another month or so she's going to disappear off into a drainage line or somewhere around there and have her cubs if that mating was successful and she is pregnant. But that would be very exciting news for all of us. And I've heard tell from many of the viewers that she likes to come into Nkuhuma and hide her cubs in the drainage lines around Vuatela camp. So we'll definitely be looking forward to that in the next month or so. As I make my way across to Buffelshoek Dam and make sure that I check very, very carefully for Karula's tracks crossing, we've got exciting stuff happening in the world of lions with James, so we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Wendy, where we are still with the lions. I have got a little bit closer. approaching. Andrew has seen it, I have not, but we can hear it stomping away, breaking branches, feeding its way gently towards the drainage line. Somewhere, let me point with my pointer, over there. There he is. You got him, Andrew?
No.
I can just see him moving. Grey shape, big thing with the trunk.
No.
You got him?
No.
Okay, go a little bit to the left of where you are now. Straight over this green bush in front of us. If you zoom in straight through this green bush directly in front of us, you should get him there. Yeah, I can't make head or tail of what you're filming there. Anyway, everybody, there is an elephant in there somewhere, and I've just seen him. He's not that far away from us. Just shows you that brilliant colour that grey is. Would disappear entirely.
I can see him with my eyes, just not the camera.
Well, the lions are not doing much, but I think it's going to be worth staying here with them. You got him there?
Yeah.
There you can see a bit of movement there, everybody. That is an elephant. They're probably about 200 meters from where we're sitting here with these lions. Like I say, I think it's worth staying here just to see what unfolds. I'm not sure what the female's going to do. She seems to have gone to sleep next to this lion, but I don't think she can afford to be counting her chickens just yet. She's going to need to engage him further, and I think that's what we're going to wait here to see. Also, that elephant comes across here. He will not be happy. They do not appreciate lions in the least. You can see his face is quite scarred, and that is from the life of being a male lion. It's not easy, and in an area like the Kruger, where there are lots of lions, you fight for every morsel of food you get, every piece of territory, and almost every breath that you take. And so their faces become scarred. That's mainly from feeding, where they get hit by each other. These males will fight each other at kills. And you get hit on the head by those tremendously powerful claws. There are also some scars on his back, you can see. That's probably from fights. And you can see the mane starting to develop rather nicely there down the front of his left shoulder. Just gorgeous light, everybody. The atmosphere out here is pristine. It's cool, so it's not hot yet. You can see the gorgeous light shining through the brand new leaves of all of the trees around here. Just little sparkling emeralds on all the trees. Hundreds and hundreds of little emeralds shining in the sun. Birds calling in the drainage line. Sunbirds, robins, batises, crombecs. And a lovely fresh smell of the African early morning. There's a crombec there again. A magpie shrike going. It's so interesting, you know, we were looking at some shots from the air yesterday. Brian was flying a drone, and it was his first try, and he did an exceptional job. And from the air, although you can see the green there shining in this new morning, the new green shoots are not visible from the air, and it still looks like a winterland at the moment. Now I think we have a new viewer here, which is excellent news. Certainly one we haven't heard from before, we don't think. Yaku, if that is how we pronounce your name, welcome. Good to hear from you. and you want to know what happened to the rest of her pride. So it's a good opportunity for me to recap for all our new viewers, or perhaps viewers who've just tuned in. Yaku, what's happened is that she originally came from a pride of 9 lionesses at one stage, sorry, of 8 lionesses, and one of them was killed by these males in February. They, by then, were just sort of coming into the area. Young males didn't really know what they're doing. They're still a little confused. They're settling now, but they are a little bit confused, and they killed one of the lionesses in February. They killed another one in July, and they killed another one about 3 weeks ago. So these 5 males, and there are 5 of them in this coalition, the other 4 are just behind me by about 200 meters. They have come into this area, they're trying to take it over, and they've killed 3 of this pride, and they've split it. They've managed to split the pride up. Whether that split is permanent or not, I don't know. So now there are 5 lionesses left, and 1 young male who's about 3.5. He, I'm almost certain, will not be tolerated by these males. He will be seen as a threat, and I think he'll be seen off very quickly, and I suspect that's why this pride is split up. So that's what's going on with the pride, Yaku. Interesting times. Whether they'll join up again with her, I don't know. She certainly managed to get further towards solidifying a bond with these new males than any of her pride mates have. They've been killed, obviously, or run away. We think she's probably about 4 years old, and I mean, some of our viewers will know the exact ages of all the lionesses in the pride, but she looks to be about 3.5 to 4 years old. Wonderful. What a privilege to just sit here and enjoy them, even if they aren't doing what lions do best, which of course is absolutely nothing. We've had some fairly lion-free times of late, so very nice to have them back on the property. And Yaku, in case you are wondering what the cracking noise behind us is, I'm not sure if you can hear it or not, there is an elephant probably about 200 meters behind us as well, off to that side. The other lions are off in that direction. Probably won't move again today. I suspect they will lurk precisely where they are until it's a little bit cooler. Just to keep you posted also on the state of the bushwalk. The bushwalk is going out today, and we are doing various tests with it, with new equipment, and it isn't, unfortunately, in a state that we can use it today. But it is such an effective way to demonstrate the beauty and magnificence of this wildlife area. Also, sorry to some of you, I believe you were complaining about the fact that there was a beeping noise and it was hurting your ears. I'm sorry it was hurting your ears, and I assure you it was hurting mine even more. It is the Game Drive channel, and the Game Drive channel, while it is a crucial part of the drive, can be a little bit invasive, so I do apologize for that. I've turned it off now. I don't think that there's anything else going on of any particular note, and nobody seems to be wanting to come here, so I've switched it off. And the alarming beeping noise that was creating migrainous headaches in a few of you seems to be alleviated for now. Andrew, there are certainly quite a few flies around here. I see now why you're wearing your Spider-Man buff. We're also just keeping an eye on that elephant and whether he doesn't come down here or not. It'd be quite fun to watch an interaction, I must say. You can hear an orange-breasted bushshrike. So everybody, I think that there may be some further interaction with these lions. There may or may not be, but you can see the scarring on his back there. That's very nice. If you would like me to stay with him, please will you send through a tweet, #SafariLive. I'm more than happy to sit here. If you would like me to go and perhaps search for something else or go and look at the other males, we can try and do that if you like. I suspect that they will be entirely flat cat, as it were, under a bush, enjoying this gorgeous African dawn with us. So send through a tweet and let me know what you want me to do. And please remember, you are free to comment and ask questions at any stage. We could also go and look for this elephant, of course. That might be a nice idea. And then maybe come back here and have a look at the lions. I think let's do that, Andrew. Let's just go gently off. We don't have far to go. And while these two lions are doing nothing, let's go just quick. We're just going to do a little loop through there and have a look and see if we can't find, if we can't find the elephant. Of course, there will probably be a great flurry of activity as we leave, but we will keep an eye on them. Yeah, I'm getting this radio earpiece stuck in the steering wheel. Oh, yeah. Wendy's falling apart. Let's go and have a quick look. Quite a thick bush, a block at least. We're making much more noise than that 4-ton elephant, or 4 or 5-ton elephant if it is a bull. Watch out here. Watch your heads, everybody. Don't spill your drinks. Andrew, watch out. Be not afraid. Be full of light. The lions are still asleep, everyone. Fear not. They are not missing out. I sometimes feel a bulldozer might be a better option as a vehicle. Between the bushes and the aerial on this radio, I may not have my eyes left by the end of this drive. Just a quick recap. There were some fascinating males that came onto this reserve on Sunday last, 2 males, and they are the Salati males, and we hadn't seen them before here. We do know now that they are on Buffels Hook, in the northern parts of Buffels Hook, and they went into the Manuleti, and as the Birminghams have come further south, so they seem to be pushing further south again. And I think they killed a buffalo there last night, so they are fine. Seemingly on Buffels Hook, this elephant has evaporated into the night. Let's be quiet and have a listen, Andrew. There he is. I can hear him there. Watch your head again. Ooh, I don't want to run that tree over. That's a nice tree. That's called Papia propensis, the jacket plum. Oh dear. continue to try and find out where all the lions are and what they're doing. I'm now in a very stuckish position. Elizabeth in Minneapolis, you want to know where the Styx Pride are. So far as we understand it, they are in the south, around Londolozi and Mala Mala, where they were last seen with the Matimbas. Territories a little bit north of where they are, so they are definitely trying to aid with the lions. Far too much trauma for a Thursday morning. There he is, elephant. I think we'll just go onto the road and have a look. Grey thing off to the right hand side there. Yeah. Beautiful young bull elephant. I'll try and get around the front of him. I think he's a little bit nervous because he can smell all the lions. Right, fella, we just want to say hi. He's a young bull. He's probably about 18 or 19 years old, maybe 20, and he's just having a listen to us now. He doesn't know what we want. He's probably fairly freshly out of a herd, so he'll be a little bit reticent to carry on regardless of what we do. Not an easy time for an elephant, this, when they leave the herd and they must go out and fend for themselves. And often they are in the company of other young bulls, but this chap seems to be on his own for now. And if I sneak forward, if we won't get a better view. I'm just going to sneak a little bit forward, everybody. I'm not going to chase him into that bush like we did with the lions. I think he's a little bit nervous for that. Rather splendid fellow. Hello, Charlotte. Your question is an interesting one. I'm laughing because of obviously some of the names that you've put forward, but you want to know not so much about elephants, of course, but about the lions, and continuing the lion sort of theme of the morning. If two prides or two coalitions join up, do they then have a combination name? So would the Birminghams and the Nkuhumas become the Birminghumas or the Birminghams or something like that? No, that is not what happens. Remember, there are a few things here that are interesting in your question, and I'm not sure if you meant them or not, but you probably did, and they're good topics of discussion. The first thing is that prides do not join up. It's very seldom that they join up unless they come from the same stock, but it's highly unlikely that prides will join up. They have very distinct territories that they just will defend aggressively against other prides. Now remember, I say this often, but it's crucial because of the misconceptions created by, various stories throughout the years. Prides do not include the males. The males are not part of the pride. They are part of a coalition of dominant males which will look after the pride, or look after the territory in which the pride lives. They will have a territory that encompasses more than one pride, normally. Certainly the Birmingham boys will look after more than one pride. And by look after, I do not mean look after in the sense that they defend them. They defend the territory in which the pride lives, and that is as far as their defense goes. Prides likewise, and also the coalitions, of course, will split up sometimes, and they will not. The Birmingham boys are highly unlikely to join up with any other kind of coalition. In fact, I'd say it's almost impossible that would happen. So, while the question may have been meant tongue-in-cheek, Charlotte, it actually raises some very interesting topics. I'm just going to sneak gently through here and see if we can't get a nice view of this beautiful elephant. But if he walks off into the thick stuff, we'll go back to the lions. Emily Moon, I'm very pleased that you are glad to see this elephant. I am also very glad to see this elephant. I think he's a lovely fellow. He's a bit nervous, but he's okay now. Now what he's doing is he's trying to smell us. He's sticking his trunk out, he's pretending to feed, but every so often he turns it towards us and tries to smell us. Yeah, he's just a little bit uncomfortable. You can see he's flared his ears there. And that just means that he's trying to look big and strong, which of course he is. He's just rubbing his head. You can see there. He's been rubbing it on a knobthorn. Knobthorn, of course, is full of thorns, and if you have a skin like an elephant, it's an excellent place to start rubbing. Alright, so he's gone off, melting gently down towards the drainage line there, and I think what we'll do is probably let's go and have a quick look at the other 4 lions, see where they are, see what they're doing, and then make a plan from there. Marvellous. What a morning. Hey, Andrew.
Wonderful morning.
So there seems to be a general consensus that we should return to the lions, and that we will do. I just want to quickly have a look at the males before we go back and see the young male, shall we say clueless male, and his consort. I'm pretty sure that they will be lying flat on their backs. What lions like to do. Watch out there, Brian. At least Andrew, sorry.
All good.
They should be just down the road unless something completely untoward has happened, like they've got up and killed the buffalo or something like that. I think that's unlikely. They're very full-bellied. They've eaten substantially during the night. Well, not during last night, during the day before and the night before that. There they are. No, that's not them, that's a stick. Andrew, this is where we had the curious incident of you yelling at me to come back.
Oh, was it here?
Yes, it was right here. A little while back, everybody, I was trying to look for tracks, and we crash cut live to me, and Andrew had to yell for me, and I came belting down from the top of that ridge crest, and well, it was quite amusing. I was out of breath for some time. Trials of being live in the bush, hey Andrew? Unless I'm very much mistaken, the lions should be around this next corner.
I see them on the right.
You see them on the right?
Yes.
Well done, Andrew. There they are on the right. One of them has his head up. It's high action. Let's get in there before he goes to sleep again. Now, a very interesting question here about these young males. We look onto a young male who's probably about 3.5 years old, or 4 years old, maybe 4.5. And Ramey, you want to know, would young males like this, if they mated, would they have viable sperm? Ramey, I think they would. I think the only reason they don't mate earlier than they do is because of dominance. And so absolutely, were they to try and mate now, I think they would have viable offspring. It's a question of whether they can do the deed, as it were, and certainly 2 of them have failed dismally so far. The older one, who's lying away from these chaps, and he does often lie away from them, is a little bit more competent. I think he learnt that last night. He's just sniffing the air. They always turn their heads slightly towards where the breeze is coming from, and just if anything touches their noses are so sensitive, of course. There will be a great deal of sleeping going on in this area today. Beautiful lion, look at him. Oh, here we go. Gosh, Andrew, look at this high action lion sighting. I'm astonished you managed to move the camera fast enough. Well done. Okay, let's go around the corner there. Marilyn in California, while we reposition this vehicle, you would like to know whether that clump of hair behind the armpit, which you've seen on these lions a few times, which is in fact the elbow joint, of course, you want to know if that's sort of part of the mane, is part of the protection. It is definitely part of the mane. The mane extends down like that and into the area around here and around the shoulders and into that elbow joint. It is, and I'm sure it does form some kind of protective shield when they fight. There is quite a lot of school of thought that reckons that sorry, I'm a bit distracted by the fact that I think I might disturb a hornet's nest, which will result in Andrew and I being stung to death on live television. That will be very unpleasant for all concerned. Yes, it is an old hornet's nest. Can you see it there, Andrew? Yeah. There don't seem to be any hornets in it about to emerge at high speed and sting us. It's not a hornet's nest, you know, it's a growth. It's a growth on Terminalia bush. It's quite interesting. It's very interesting. I don't know what it is, but it is a growth, and it is interesting. That lion watching us now has a look of boredom on his face, so profound that you would swear he just had to learn some sort of economic history. And that's no insult to economic historians who might be watching. I suppose all subjects are interesting to somebody. Maybe not accounting. I think accounting is interesting to anyone, Andrew.
Negative.
Negative. Okay, so he looks as bored as if he was in an accounting lecture. You know, I sit here daily while my dear brother sits in the bank in Johannesburg, thankfully helping the economy to some sort of functionality here in South Africa, teetering on the brink as it is, and I thank my lucky stars every single day. It always feels like Saturday. I was thinking it was Saturday until I realized again that it was in fact Thursday, and I get to sit here with these fantastic animals and drive through this obscenely beautiful area on a daily basis for sometimes 6 hours. What an infinite pleasure that is, and privilege. Even if the lions are asleep. Now, Andrew, can we just get on the back end of that mohawk that you can see in front of us there? Very nice example of what a young male lion's mane looks like before it's in full kind of glory. He's got that very spiky bit at the back of his head. Bless you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Don't sneeze too much, they will take the weak ones in the herd. Alrighty, what we're going to do now is head across to Jamie. She's going to give you an update, and I will stay right here with these lions. I will try and stop the flow of Andrew sneezing, and we'll see you in just a little while. Andrew, shut up.
Welcome back, and sadly still no luck with following up on Karula. She disappeared into that drainage line somewhere. We looped and looped and looped. I searched everywhere. I do not know where she went. I had a long chat with Tax at Buffelshoek Dam, and he described her as Mafufunyan today, and that she doesn't want to walk on the roads. She wants to be in the drainage lines. So it seems as though they've had an equal amount of difficulty in following up with her. Been searching. I've made sort of ever-increasing circles around where I lost her. It could well be that she just went and lay down in the drainage line in the sand and decided that this was the place to relax. I didn't try and check. I even went back to where we lost her in the hope that maybe she just was tucked down underneath that termite mound, but there was no luck there. The only thing I can tell you that I have learned from that experience is that there is an aardvark living in that termite mound. So that has been my important lesson for today. And I know that on the sunset safari, if I'm in the area, I might be following up around there. I have yet to see an aardvark, so that's still exciting news from my side. Amazing stuff that James has got those Birmingham boys. Very, very interesting shifts in the dynamics. That Nkuhuma female obviously got to the point where she has accepted their authority in this area. As for the rest of the Nkuhumas, I'm not too sure where they are. I haven't heard any updates on that side. But still very, very exciting times. And we know where we will be following up for the sunset safari. I'm just going to say a big thank you to Brian for putting up as we drove through the bushes and searched everywhere around. And a special appearance by the thumb. And thank you to all of you, the viewers. We will catch up with you on the sunset safari, but we're going to end off with James and those fascinating happenings in the lion world. We'll see you a little bit later. Have a wonderful day.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Wendy and these magnificent male lions who have now, well, probably very well timedly decided that the morning is far too difficult for them and they're going to go to sleep. There is another one, Andrew, I don't know if you can see him through there, lying under the shade of that guarre bush. I'm pointing there with my aerial. There he is, so that's one. There are three here, and the other one, of course, is having conjugals just off the road down towards the drainage line. Magnificent, really. The elephant melted off into the drainage line. He's gone off to carry on eating. And these lions will sleep here until it gets cooler today. They'll move into the shade, I've no doubt, and we'll come and check what they're doing this afternoon. It's turning into I think it's going to turn into a pretty hot day. I think it's probably sitting at around, we've gone from 13 degrees. There was a large bank of cloud that has burnt away. And I think it'll probably hit about 33 or 34 degrees today. That's about almost 90. I think it's 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can see the sky, which Andrew will show to you at some stage, is very burnt out. And that's just indicative of the kind of heat of the day and the lack of moisture in the atmosphere. You can see it's not that beautiful deep blue that we get after a cold front comes through. Right, Brenda in Virginia, you ask a salient question to which I do not know the answer because I don't know these lions that well. Brenda, you want to know if this is the Birmingham boy's first sexual experience. I would say possibly, probably, most likely it is. I mean, certainly by the level of competence that they've shown with that female, it would seem that it is. And the older ones seemed to eventually get it right last night. This chap that we saw mating today, I don't know for how long you've been watching, but that chap who was mating today definitely didn't. And she's now almost toying with him. It's fascinating to watch. She's not, she was throwing herself at all of them until they responded. Now suddenly she's a little bit back offish. And she's just trying to harness them and trying to draw them in all the time. It's an incredible thing to watch. So when he got up and then tried to mount her a second time, she said, no, 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 and she cuffed him and she ran off into the bush, and that's where they're lying now. Then she kind of snuggled up to him and snuggled a bit, and they were spooning for a while, and eventually he got irritated, and so she had to back off a bit more. So it's very interesting to watch how the, I don't know if you could call it psychology, but certainly the behavior of what's going on here and trying to interpret it. The interpretations, of course, from a human point of view might be utter nonsense, but I think that's what's going on here. And then, Brenda, you also want to know why it is that a lion and a leopard has a barbed penis. It would seem to be a strange thing. It is. Except what it does is that when he withdraws, it creates a contraction in the uterus. And I think that helps with ovulation. It apparently helps with ovulation, probably also helps to make sure that the sperm goes to where it needs to go. So I think that's why it's barbed. This fellow's got a slightly damaged eye. Going off to see his brother. So I think let's quickly follow those other two down there.
There's another one coming.
There's another one coming. Oh goodness gracious, it's all happening, don't know what to do. Jennifer in Missouri, very interesting question. Isn't that lovely? That's wonderful. That's just fantastic. Jennifer, you want to know, when they've finished mating, will that lioness... Oh, hello. He is now 2 meters from us. He's going to mark territory now. Keep your heads down, everybody. You do not want to be hit with lion urine. A lovely sound. And he's marking a guarri bush, which is unlikely to be browsed by anything. Just amazing. I think let's go and quickly, we'll go and close off the show at those other three. What do you think, Andrew?
Yes.
And while we're doing that, I'll ask Jennifer's question. Jennifer, in broad strokes, you want to know what's going to happen with the female. She's going to introduce them to her pride. Do they think she's dead? Jennifer, I don't know if they think she's dead. She has been away from them for a while, so perhaps they consider her missing, presumed dead. That's quite possible after the conflict that's been going on here. Then secondly, will she bring the pride, take them to the pride? They won't go anywhere with her. I think that she will probably join up with the pride, and in so doing she may create some kind of try and communicate to them in some way that things are safe and they can come back into the area, but I'm not really sure what will happen on that front. I'm just going to reposition nicely so that we can get a good view of all three of these fellows. Oh gosh, Wendy is not very good at the left turn, I'm afraid. All right, Andrew. Say when. Okay. Right, so everybody, I'm afraid we've come to the end of what was a truly spectacularly wonderful morning safari. 5 male lions here, 1 female. She is seemingly on the verge of being accepted by these males and possibly putting an end to the carnage that has been going on here for the last few months. Beautiful sighting of Karula. So a big thank you to Jamie and to Brian for following her, and a big thank you of course to Scott for his early tracking exercises. A huge thank you to Jessica Biffy back on the director's seat today, and to Nikki for her assistance there. Thank you to Andrew. Lovely to have you back, Andrew.
Thank you, sir.
Andrew has a startling array of colours on today, possibly worth a picture actually. We might send one onto the Twitterverse later. And of course, enormous thanks to all of you for your questions and comments. So stimulating to hear from you, and thank you very much for the time that you spend watching us. This will probably be my last drive before I go off to the United Kingdom as of Friday. I'm going to watch David Gilmour, magnificent guitarist of Pink Floyd, and to watch the Springboks play rugby in the World Cup of Rugby Union, of course the greatest game in the world. I hope that you have a wonderful time while I'm away. I may see you tomorrow morning or this afternoon, I'm not sure, but I don't think so. So if I don't, have a wonderful time wherever you are. I will see you in 2 weeks, and thank you very much continuously for the amazing contributions that you make. Stay safe, stay happy, stay glad and content wherever you happen to be in the world, and I will see you again in about 2 weeks' time. Bye-bye, and thank you very much.